Nothing made Bob Newhart hate him more than that. The name Bob Newhart comes from the fact that he was born on September 5, 1929, in Oak Park, Illinois. He grew up in a humble family and went to Loyola University, Chicago, where he got a degree in economics and at first wanted to work as an accountant. Still, Newhart found he was naturally funny even while working in finance. He often practiced his craft in small settings and performed at local clubs. Newhart's big break came in 1960 when his first comedy album, The Button-Down Mind of Bob Newhart, came out. The album, which was taped live in front of a small crowd at a Chicago nightclub, showed off his unique style of one-sided phone calls and made-up conversations, leaving the listeners to fill in the blanks. At the time, the finding was very important. The album was the first comedy album to ever hit #1 on the Billboard charts. It also won him the 1961 Grammy Award for Best Comedy Album. Not only did this success solidify Newhart's place in the comedy world, it also changed how comedic records were made and performed. People liked his humor because it was approachable and based on the normal worries and silly things that happen in everyday life. It was a smart change from the slapstick or overly exaggerated comedy that was popular at the time. In the middle of the 1960s, Bob Newhart made a smooth shift to TV. From 1972 to 1978, he was the star of The Bob Newhart Show. In this show, he played Dr. Robert Hartley, a psychologist in Chicago who had to deal with the strange behaviors of his patients, his coworkers, and his own family. Fans loved the show right away, not just for its funny scenes, but also for how realistically it showed how people interact with each other, how complicated work can be, and how weird relationships can be. Newhart's calm and deadpan reactions became a signature of the show and earned him praise from critics and several Emmy nods. The show's popularity showed how well he could mix humor with humanity, making his characters not only funny but also deeply relatable and caring. In addition to the Bob Newhart Show, Newhart had a career that lasted decades and showed how versatile he was. In the 1990s, he came back to TV with the show Newhart, which made him even more famous as a master of practical comedy. He played Dick Loudon, a landlord in a small Vermont town full of strange people, on this show. The show became famous for both its smart writing and funny character-based jokes, and for its unforgettable and widely praised series finale, which is often called one of the most famous ends in the history of TV. People were amazed at how Newhart could surprise, delight, and leave a lasting impact, proof of a talent who had worked hard for decades to get very good at what he did. When Newhart first started, it was an instant hit, just like its predecessor, The Bob Newhart Show, which made Bob Newhart a household name and a unique, understatedly funny character. The show, which took place in a small Vermont inn, showed Newhart's trademark deadpan das, delivery, subtle timing, and ability to find humor in everyday scenarios. The show got great reviews from critics for its smart writing, well-drawn characters, and Newhart's natural charm. Audiences, on the other hand, quickly warmed to the show's quirky cast of characters, especially the inn's strange residents, who all had their own weird habits that made for endless comedy. The show was so popular that it was nominated for several Emmys over the course of its 8 seasons. This shows how good the writing was and how good Newhart was as an actress. There were an amazing 182 episodes of Newhart by the time it ended in 1990. It changed the landscape of American television comedy and cemented Newhart's status as one of the most beloved comedic actors of his time. Many people still say that the series finale, with its shocking twist ending, is one of the best endings in TV history. It showed how well Newhart could combine humor and creativity. In 1992, after 2 years away, Bob Newhart came back to TV with a new big project, a sitcom called Bob. In this show, he played a cartoonist, which gave him a chance to show a more creative and playful side while still keeping his trademark subtle humor. Television critics mostly liked the show. They liked Newhart's comedic timing and the smart premise. But it had a hard time getting a big audience. The show had a lot of competition in the ratings, and even though it had some good points, it didn't connect with many people. In the end, this caused the show to be canceled soon after its 2nd season. It was a rare event in Newhart's otherwise successful career as a TV host. That being said, Bob showed that Newhart was open to trying new formats and was determined to get parts that let him explore new comedic ground. Bob Newhart stayed active in the entertainment world through the 1990s and 2000s with his comedy albums, which solidified his status as a stand-up comedy master. During this time, he put out some important records, such as Off the Record, The Button Down Concert, and this. These pieces showed off his talent for observational humor and storytelling with Newhart's calm, quiet style, turning everyday situations into funny looks at how people act. Even after decades in show business, Newhart's subtle wit and timing made him the best at connecting with viewers. Fans could enjoy his humor on record with these albums, which captured the spirit of his live shows. Starting in 2001, Newhart made a comeback on TV, appearing in a lot of different shows. He worked on famous TV shows like Mad TV, where he showed how versatile he was by doing sketch comedy, and Desperate Housewives, where he added a classic sense of humor to the show. He also became known for his parts in the TV movie series The Librarian, including Quest for the Spear, Return to King Solomon's Mines, and Curse of the Judas Chalice. In all of these movies, he brought his trademark charm and wit to the roles. His guest roles on procedural dramas like NCIS and sitcoms like Committed showed that he was still popular across a wide range of genres. They showed that his brand of humor could still connect with modern audiences while still having the classic qualities that made him famous in the first place. The American sitcom The Big Bang Theory, in which Newhart plays the famous character Arthur Jeffries, aka Professor Proton, became very popular in 2013. A lot of people loved Newhart's performance on the show. He really captured the nostalgic charm of a former kids' science TV host with the right amount of warmth, humor, and sadness. He kept showing up on the show until 2018, and he helped make some of the most famous and touching moments happen. His performance was praised by critics and made a new link with younger viewers who may not have seen any of his other work. This shows that his comedic skills will always be useful. After leaving The Big Bang Theory, Newhart kept appearing on TV. His guest spots on The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson were a hit with viewers, where his dry humor and chatty style worked well in a talk show setting. Hot in Cleveland and Return to the World of the Librarians are just a few of the shows he was in, showing that he is still very interested in acting and that he can easily play both comedic and dramatic parts. He played Arthur Jeffries, aka Professor Proton, again in the coming-of-age sitcom Young Sheldon in 2017. This helped to continue the legacy of one of his most beloved characters and delighted fans with his signature understated wit that had captivated them for more than 50 years. Bob Newhart married Virginia Lillian Ginny Quinn on January 12, 1963. Virginia was born on December 9, 1940 and died on April 23, 2023. She was an actor and comedian who was famous for his subtle humor and deadpan delivery. Ginny Quinn came from a family with a lot of experience in show business. Bill Quinn, her father, was a character actor, and his work in films and TV shows exposed her to the arts at a young age. Celebrity comic Buddy Hackett helped bring the two people together because he thought Newhart, who was quick-witted, and Ginny, who was friendly and helpful, would get along well. Not only did they become one person when they got married, but they also combined two worlds, comedy and performance. This made it possible for them to have a stable family life in the often chaotic and uncertain world of show business. The family that Bob and Ginny built together was based on love, stability, and shared ideals. Over the course of 14 years, they had 4 children. Robert, born in 1963, was born at a time when Newhart's work was becoming more well-known across the country. Timothy was born in 1967 and grew up during the 1970s, when Newhart was at the top of his TV career. Jennifer was born in 1971. Her childhood was shaped by her father's rising fame and their desire to keep things normal at home. And Courtney, who was born in 1977 and joined the family when Bob was already a well-known TV and comedy star. The Newharts have grown their family over the years and now have 10 gross grandkids, adding to their heritage and the close family ties that Bob and Ginny had built up over many years. They had a lot of faith in their lives. It was important to Bob and Ginny that their children were raised in the same Catholic religion as them. They wanted to give their children the same values, traditions, and spiritual foundation that had helped them grow up. Even though Newhart's career required a lot of traveling, TV appearances, and movie work, the couple put their family first. They made sure their kids had a normal life while also being aware of the entertainment world around them. Their 60-year marriage, which ended with Ginny's death in 2023, showed how much they loved each other, how strong families are, and how resilient people can be in the life of a comedian who is liked by many in the United States. It was strange to learn that Bob Newhart, the famous comedian known for his dry wit, perfect timing, and ability to make even a pause funny, didn't like his co-star on Good Times, Jimmy Walker. Many people like Newhart's calm, understated style of comedy and his choice for understatement over flamboyance. On the other hand, Walker's over-the-top style and constant need for attention were said to go against everything Newhart liked in a performer. "I didn't like him." In an interview, Newhart once said it straight out, stressing that his feelings were more than just professional anger. He liked working with Walker less than anyone else. He said Walker was like everything he didn't like about modern show business: egotistical, flashy, and not ready to respect comedy as a disciplined art form. Reports say that Newhart was angry not only at Walker's funny style, but also at how he behaved behind the scenes. Walker was loud, demanding, and always trying to get attention for himself, while Newhart was organized, calm, and committed to working together professionally. "It was like he thought the show was all about him," Newhart said, showing how annoyed he was getting personally over time. Newhart was a comic who valued timing, subtlety, and building jokes through interaction and nuance. Walker's constant attempts to steal the show made the set tense and drained the energy from scenes that needed to be carefully paced.